You're probably working very hard at your job right now. You're turning up, you're delivering, and you're doing everything that you're supposed to do. But if I asked you, what is all that effort actually building towards? And I'm not talking about a vague idea of the future, but a real clear destination. There's actually a very good chance that you probably wouldn't have the answer. And I know exactly how easy it is to be in that position because I was in it for 20 years. You see, I spent 2 whole decades in permanent employment across different companies, different job titles, but the same pattern. So turn up, do the work, make progress or perceive to make progress, and then repeat. And actually, I was really good at it. I wasn't just sleepwalking through my career. I was genuinely putting in the effort and I was genuinely delivering results to customers and clients. But I never really stopped once to ask myself, what was I actually building towards? At least not in an honest way. I sort of had a vague sense that things were going in the right direction and that if I kept performing and I kept being useful, something would eventually come of it that was good. And it took me until February 2025 when the company I was working for was shut down overnight by a regulatory body, and there was no warning, no runway, there was just one meeting and then it was gone. Now in the weeks that followed that, when I actually had a chance to sit down and question of what it is I was actually working towards, I actually realised I didn't have a proper answer at all. And it wasn't because I wasn't trying hard enough, but I'd never actually just stopped and asked myself the question or even been asked it directly. Now here's what I've come to understand about all of that. The problem is that you haven't defined what it is that you're working towards. And therefore your time, your energy, and your output, it's actually all going somewhere else. And it's not necessarily going somewhere that directly benefits you. That's not a criticism of anyone or how employment works. It's just what happens when you're focused on doing a job for someone else rather than asking what the job is doing for you. So how can you do anything to change that or fix it? Well, the truth is it doesn't start with a massive life decision. So you don't need to have everything figured out. And more importantly, you don't need to stop operating without an answer, i.e. you don't have to quit your job. The first step is actually getting honest with yourself about what you actually want your work to produce, not for your employer or for your career on paper, but for you. So ask yourself the question, what does the life you actually want to live look like? And what does it actually cost? And that second part matters more than most people think. Getting clear on what you actually want is something I regularly come back to in my completely free newsletter, which is called The Honest Brief. It's a short weekly email where I talk through all these kind of things properly, and I've put a link down below in the description if you want to sign up. But for right now today, I want you to try a quick exercise right after you've watched the end of this video. I want you to try and write one sentence in this format. As a, where you are right now, I want what you actually want your work to produce, so that what that would change for you. The as a part is just an honest description of your situation. It's not designed to be your job title, but something more real. The I want is actually what you want from your life, not a vague career goal. And the so that is the reason behind it. And that's the part that matters the most. So here's an example. As someone 15 years into a career that pays well, but feels like it's going nowhere, I want to build something that earns money outside of my salary, so that I'm not completely dependent on a job that could disappear tomorrow. Now, yours might look completely different when you write this, and it should. You just need to write something honest, because until you put that into words, it's going to be really hard to build towards that. But once you've written it, don't just leave it in a file somewhere, actually pin it up somewhere that you can see it. Maybe on your desk, on your wall next to your monitor, or somewhere that's in front of you every single day. Because the point of this exercise isn't to just write it once, it's to remind yourself every single day that you have to answer your own question and not just the questions your employer has for you. Now, here's the thing that most people get wrong. Once they've got that clarity, they think the next step is a dramatic one, and it isn't. And making that mistake is exactly how most people end up worse off than when they started. So I'd recommend that you watch this video that's on screen here, because if you're thinking about making that next move right now, you're going to want to hear this first.